Hello, 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 everyone. I have such a problem in doing the promo and everything. I had to keep triple checking because I kept spelling your name Daniela. Um,
No, that's
it,
your name.
it, it was so weird to me. I don't know any other Daniels. You're the first Daniel I've ever
Uh,
met.
well, actually, I'll tell you a secret. I'm not really Daniel. Um,
Oh,
it's my stage name. My birth name is
oh.
actually Danny, like on
They
my birth
called me
certificate.
Danny growing up.
Yeah, so I'm Dan, and then when I sort of joined the business in a professional way as an adult, it's like, well, I should be Daniel. And so I created this fella named Daniel Henning that, he's a good guy. He's done a lot of great work. People like him. I've made a lot, he's made a lot of difference in the world. But, when I went through my midlife crisis, I was like, but wait a minute, but I'm Danny. So now I'm like my friends, like I introduce myself when I meet people, not professionally. Hi, I'm Danny, like so. I've come back to being Danny again, which is kind of fun.
Okay, when's your birthday?
October 17th.
Because I'm from California, so I'm
Oh,
allowed a little bit of flakiness and
I'm a Libra through and through.
yeah, yeah.
I'm also from California, by the way, in case you couldn't tell.
Yeah, where are you from in California?
I was born in Oakland. Uh,
Oh, you were one of the cool guys. Guess where I
East
was
Bay.
born?
Where?
The most uncool place you can be born in
Bakersfield?
California.
Fresno?
Fresno.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Audra
not
McDonald is
Bakersfield.
from Fresno, so
Oh, I know. My sister went to school with her, was like friends with her. I
oh,
know.
nice.
But Audra McDonald and the girl in the lady in the blonde-haired mother in one of those sitcoms. One of the old-timey, Who's the Boss or something.
Oh, okay.
So, our
Uh,
only claim to fame and really great grapes. Daniel Henning, I don't know, it won't surprise you to know that I've had people message me over the last few years asking me, suggesting that I ask you on as a guest. I tend to
okay.
be reactive, inviting people. I have a long list of people that I need to ask, and then I get so swamped with the schedule, the ones that are requested, I don't ever get the chance. But you have been highly requested. Um, and yeah, you're people really, really like you and they're very intrigued by you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to know that. I'm very glad to know that you've been getting my mother's emails.
More than just your mother, I promise. I won't give out names, but yes, we've definitely more and your mother as well.
She
But
did. She did.
part of what I like to think the charm of these calls is is I like to think of the actor's studio. I like to think of the inside the actor. I don't, I just get so bored. I just get so bored with all I find that we put on layers in life and those layers represent who we are and where we're going. And boring, boring, boring. I want to hear 10-year-old Daniel. What were you doing? What were you thinking? Were
Uh,
you dreaming? Were you just living in the
is this an actual
moment?
legit question? Because
Yes.
I have an actual answer to that.
Yeah. It's a true
When
question.
when I was 10 years old, and I just went back to visit last week, so for their 75th anniversary. But when I was 10 years old, I was chosen after a very long, month-long process of auditions and auditions and auditions to be Pinocchio for a year at Children's Fairyland, which is an amusement park in Oakland, which is where Walt Disney went to be inspired to create Disneyland. And in fact, he took the executive director of Children's Fairyland to run the program at Disneyland. So for a year, when I was 10 years old, I was walking around Children's Fairyland as Pinocchio and doing parades and all kinds of crazy stuff. Except for we just had this reunion, so it's very fresh in my mind. Um,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Because, and again, I have to confess through this whole call, everything I'm going to think and compare to is going to be like, you were one of the cool kids and and I was in Fresno, but I was Little Miss Muppet in Storyland when I was
Ah,
10. And can I just ask you if it was the same in your experience as it was in mine? In my experience, that summer, that first summer, stayed with me the entire, it shaped who I am as a human being.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's no question about it. And I mean, and actually, in fact, even Here, actually, you know what? I wasn't going to do this, but I'll show you. I have proof.
Yes, show. I want to see. I want to see. Hello, Kim. Hello, Jonathan. This guy's really interesting. You guys were all right to ask me to have him on. Okay,
So
go ahead.
this is a picture that I have of. Let me see.
Oh,
There
the
you go.
nose. For those of us that weren't here, Daniel played Pinocchio when he was 10 years old in Oakland. In what was the name of the part? The
Children's Fairyland.
Children's Fairyland.
Yeah.
And the cast, were you like close to the cast?
A
And was it
very
like,
yeah, and we all came to that reunion, and actually the first girl I met there, who was my first girlfriend when I was 10, and my last, named Libby Schaff, and she was actually mayor of Oakland for 8 years.
oh,
And I got to
wow.
see her the other day. But this actually relates to audiobooks, because after The House on the Cerulean Sea, when I heard that TJ Klune's next book, In the Lives of Puppets, was a queer sci-fi Pinocchio, I sent him that picture. And I said, good luck finding a queerer Pinocchio than that. And I got the gig.
Oh, that was that. And talk about good marketing as well. That was quite ingenious.
It's like it was like a lifelong marketing thing.
But actually, that okay. A little background story to the audience. I was talking about what's the name of that? It's a picture wall. There's an actual name for it, a designer's name for it. I was talking
Oh,
about Daniel's picture wall because I want to do one of my own. Um, and we were talking about the experiences you have in life knitting together like a big puzzle into who you are and everything being connected. And that is the best example ever that I think if you delve back into each one of those pictures, you could find a connection from one of those pictures to where you are now, to where you were before. And it all comes out into like your own great masterpiece. I think you've frozen. Daniel? I think he's frozen. Either that or he's very unhappy about the question.
oh no.
Oh, there, you're back.
Oh, good. Weird. Okay.
Okay. Did you hear what I said? That all those
Yes.
pictures
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
together
No,
to make.
and I agree entirely. I feel like my internet connection cannot be unstable. It's a fiber line. Very strange. Anyway, hi. Yes, I do feel that that's true, and I've had this really weird, I call it I've had a really funny life. I've had a lot of like bizarre, weird little things happen.
Oh,
Uh,
do tell.
well, just everything, like I was on an episode of Beverly Hills 90210, but I was on the episode of Beverly Hills 90210, but it was shot on the set of Jeopardy because it was about Jeopardy. The episode was about Jeopardy. So I shot my 90210 on the Jeopardy set. So there's a picture up here on this wall of me and Jason Priestley at like the Jeopardy podiums. Just
I
funny,
love
weird,
that. Oh, but let me, wait, so you're in Oakland when you're 10, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sisters?
Nope.
No, only child, you said.
Only child. Yeah, yeah,
Get along with your parents? Were you like the precocious only child, smarter, older, more mature because you were an only child?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All that.
Um,
Yeah.
School, happy in school, just waiting to get into school.
No, kids were pretty cruel, and a lot of them bullied me. And in fact, when I was home just last week, I had dinner with like the kids on my block. And one of them, I was like, I want to
Ooh,
do this. I want to see where everybody is, like, and
really?
yeah, no,
See,
no, it's
I kind of
beautiful.
don't.
Yeah, no, with my friends, not, I mean, but there were only 4 or 5 of us or something. And one of them, she said, we talked about the bully kid on the block, and she was like, she got really quiet and like kind of sad-eyed, and I said, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I just have to say, I saw him bully you. I saw that all happen, and I was so shy. I just never said anything about it. And all this time I've thought that you hated me because I didn't stand up for you. No. Who could have? You
Yeah.
can't. You can't, you can't be a kid and stand up for another kid against a bully. She's like,
I
but
don't
now,
know. I did. I
well,
see.
I
I
mean,
don't have a lot of patience for the kids in school that let
and
that happen.
I also sort of could take care. I mean, they'd bully me, but I also gave it back in my own way. So, I would definitely mouth off to them back and, all the rest of that. But it was so like to watch like I mean, I had my own thing with bullying, and got here, and here I am. So I did okay. But she had her own opinion and feelings about that happening to me. And with
Yeah,
her, it probably lived more deeply with her,
yeah. Yeah.
which I found just like fascinating and slash devastating to hear, I was like, no, honey, I didn't. You're at this dinner, aren't you?
And maybe the pieces that stuck with her about those feelings caused her to be kind or pay it
She's
forward
she
sometime in
said
her
she
life.
she absolutely speaks out about bullying when she sees it now. Great, great, you know,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I loved school because I loved learning, and most of my teachers were good to me. But and I certainly had friends and all that stuff too. But I definitely had bullies, and because I was always, well, this. I mean, I didn't have the beard, but I was always, wearing wild things, and I had purple eyeglasses when I was in middle school, and like I could have done a lot of things to like hide and not be me, except I
I wish
couldn't.
I'd known you in middle school. We would have been such good friends.
But I couldn't be anything other than me. I didn't have that, like people are like, well, when did you come out of the closet or whatever? I'm like, well, I ever in? I mean, and those sorts of things. And so I just could never be anybody but the sort of the flamboyant, boisterous person I still am today. And I think that's good. So I never had to kind of like go to therapy to like work out. Well, they wouldn't let me be me, so I withdrew and like that kind of stuff. That's not, I have other problems in my life. Those aren't them, because I didn't know anything other than to be free. And those kids, those, mostly idiots, I wasn't going to let them stop me being free.
Yeah.
But at Children's Fairyland, and I mentioned this to them the other day, that never happened. Not with those group of kids. We were tight as ticks. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
We were very close, and no one bullied anyone.
Your fellow theater.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even
Yep.
at
That's
10,
where I found my
they all
family in
were happy.
theater.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So you grew up and opened your own.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
I
did
don't
have
want to fast forward to that one too quickly. So, did you ever have a time in life where you tried to change? Or did you just tell me about the dark nights of the soul? Because there comes a time where young, dreaming, brave heart meets stupid, idiot world for everyone sometime, doesn't it?
I mean, maybe for everyone. For me, not so much
I love that
because
for you.
my impulses are so strong, like I just when I have to do something, I have to do it. If my soul is telling me that's what you have to do next, it just gets done. Like I don't think about it. So that kind of stuff, that bullying, all that, the reason I was able to get through it, and not really have it affect me too much. I mean, it was whatever at certain times or whatever, but most of it is just, well, I don't care that anybody else doesn't, like who would come to Hollywood and start a theater company? That's insane. Well, me, because that's what I felt like I needed to do. So I did it.
Okay, so you're living in Oakland till what age?
So I went. So I lived in Oakland, and then I moved to Alameda, which is an island in the San Francisco Bay, right next to
Yeah,
Oakland. And then I
yeah.
went to high school in Oakland. So I was really like Oakland and Alameda, and I
Okay.
stayed there until 17, and went off to NYU. And lived in New York City for 6 years, and
What was that like? What was your first night in New York City living in like that excitement? Was it like that? Like, like Mary Tyler Moore throwing the hat in the air moment?
a little bit, a little bit. They lost my luggage, but like the boxes filled with like all my shoes, for instance. Um, so I only had like one pair of shoes with me, green. I remember green polo topsiders with no socks, and and I had none of my clothes, none of my whatever. And so I check into my dorm, and it was NYU's in Greenwich Village, and it was the San Gennaro Festival. And I walk in, and it's a hot, sweaty, day, and I get there, and there's these roommates who I'm meeting, and One of them is still a very close friend of mine. He just won his third Grammy. And he and I
Wow.
were like, let's go to the San Gennaro Festival. I'm like, I have no idea what that is, but let's do it. So yeah, I just really like dove into New York City, and I just loved the energy of all of it. And I loved NYU, and I loved studying at Circle in the Square through NYU. And and I also, my freshman year at NYU, I saw every show that opened on Broadway, because I
So are
wanted
you
to
not afraid
educate
of
myself.
anything? I mean, are you
I
do you not have moments where you're like, oh God, maybe I shouldn't try this or it'll fail? Do you just like happily were confident in your life?
Yes, basically. I mean, I have moments of like, why am I doing this? But not. I don't really second guess the beginning choices. You know what I mean?
Wow. Wow.
But in it, I certainly have moments of, of all that other stuff. But and the voices and all that stuff. But I've worked very hard over my life to get rid of those voices and to make none of that be relevant to who I am or what I do. And so, so to me, it's just, to me, there's just like, what do you want to do today and how are you going to do it? Uh, I don't, I sometimes, I sometimes need moments of quiet and relaxation, and, and separating from my world and who I am in the world. But those are moments of relaxation. Those aren't really even, and yeah, sure. I did have a midlife crisis, and that was about a year of like crying every day and trying to figure out who the hell I was going to be after already having been somebody for a long time. And that kind of led me to audiobooks ultimately.
Well,
Um,
that's good because you have to break something sometimes to start fresh.
yeah, and that was it. And for me, actually, the questions that really came up was, well, if I don't, if I leave all these things that have been a part of my life forever, um, doesn't that make me a failure? After whatever decades at my theater, if I'm like, okay, I have to go. I can't do this anymore. Doesn't that make me a failure? And what I came to in that conversation was, no. I was quite successful for decades. I did a lot of good for a lot of people. I helped a 17-year-old boy write produce his first play, and 20 years later, he won the Tony Award for Best Play. So, no, I've done some really good work in this world. And what it
Yeah.
means is I've completed my journey at the theater. It doesn't mean I'm abandoning it. I've done that. I've done all that I can do. I feel like there are things I could have done better, sure, but in general, what I did and what I left behind is really important. And now I get to be somebody else. You
It's
know.
I find that fascinating because if you think about the question, a failure, it's we're assigning meaning
That's right.
to the word and I noticed a few years ago that the worst, suckiest, most emotionally awful parts of my life, in retrospect, were always the ones where I stepped from being this person into this person, and I
Hmm.
was hanging midair for a little while,
Yeah.
right? So, like, it's a transition, and
Right.
transitions are hard because they take more energy than just staying. Um, and they always, and it's indirect. Do you not find indirect? The more awful it is, the more magnificent of a place you end up.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel so lucky to have found narration, to be, I mean, it's, where have you been all my life kind of moment, I discovered so many things about myself and talent wise that I never knew. I never really, it never occurred to me that I could do, more than one character at once,
Yeah.
because I was doing theater and what have you. And although as a director, I was really all of those characters, right? So, and then as the writer, when I write, I'm writing all that stuff and producing all of it, so it makes sense, and I bring the writer and the producer and the director and the actor and, everything else in this booth with me, every bit of it. And I, try to be as zen as possible to let whatever experience I've had in my life show up in this book. So I feel like I can't believe that I got the opportunity to become a narrator and to have this whole new world open up for me.
Okay, I want to jump
That
back now.
Yeah, okay.
I want to jump back to, did you go straight from NYU to opening the theater, and how did that idea occur to you?
Okay, so I graduated NYU. I managed Circle in the Square downtown, which was the off-Broadway theater. I had studied at the Broadway Circle in the Square with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and and
Wow,
the list of the
gosh.
people who were there. Then it's just like it's phenomenal. But So I ran the off-Broadway theater for a year, and then my friend Molly Shannon and I and a couple other people were gonna do an actors showcase in LA. I was attacked in New York City, and that kind of I was hit on the head with a lead pipe, and I had 47 stitches in my forehead, and
Wait, were you mugged? Were
yeah, I
you
was
mugged?
mugged. Yeah,
Oh, Daniel.
and he intended to kill me, and he didn't. So
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
yeah, thank you. It's okay. It's something good came out of it, as I'll tell you now. So I couldn't do that showcase with Molly, and that we were going to do. We kind of had to cancel that. But then I got, like, 2 months later, I got a call asking me if I would come out to LA to be in a showcase with this other actor who I'd been in acting class with, and so I that got canceled because of this attack. But then I got another opportunity to kind of do exactly that same thing. I did. There were agents there. They invited me out for pilot season. And I came out for pilot season, and I stayed. But in that first year here, I was still, like, living in people's, extra bedrooms and things and whatever. So I hadn't fully decided to live here yet. I had to go back to New York because when I was mugged, I was delivering paperwork for Circle in the Square at the time, like, to the business manager's apartment building that night after the end of the week. So it's late night. And because of that, it became a workman's comp case. So, and because I had a facial scar, I had to go to New York and go in front of a judge so that he could assess the value of my facial scar. And he gave me $4,000. And I went back to Los Angeles, and I said, "What? I can't just, like, buy drinks with this. I have to do something good."
What year is this about?
1990.
I was
And
there. I moved there in 87, so we were
Oh,
in
okay.
LA at the same time.
Um, and and I thought about what to do with this blood money, and I decided, I took that $4,000 and I founded the Blank Theater.
How did you know how to start? Did you just, like, you couldn't go online at the time? Did you
No,
just say, "Hey, how do I start a business?" I
I
mean,
just did it. I just, I figured out how to start a nonprofit, and I actually, because of some political, I was very involved in political science and stuff when I was in high school and into college too. And so I knew a lot about constitutions and things like that. So I just wrote the bylaws and the articles of incorporation for the corporation. And I didn't, I got a template book probably from Nolo Press, and then, did that. And so I founded the theater, and I didn't really know anything about fundraising or about nonprofits or any of that stuff, but I knew it was out there, and I read, and I'm sort of an autodidact, and I just kind of taught myself how to do it, and just founded a theater. There were two friends of mine who were kind of doing it with me. They both went away pretty quickly. And then it was like, oh, well, that was good. So let's do it again. Let's do another one. And just kept adding programs. And in 92, I did the first, what we called the Living Room series, which was a workshop staged reading series of new plays, other, things. But we did 36 of those a year for many
wow.
years. And then the second year, I guess in 93, because I had seen the one in New York and it inspired me, I founded the Young Playwrights Festival, which is now about to do its 33rd year. So it is the only professional nationwide competition for playwrights 9 to 19 that ends in a production of their work. And we have, like, Hollywood actors and Hollywood casting directors, and our last set of casting directors actually won the CSA, Casting Society of America, Artios Award for casting the Young Playwrights Festival.
But wait, were
Um,
you doing the LA acting circuit as well at the time? Were
Yeah.
you,
Yeah, TV. And
yeah.
I got my SAG card the second time, because the first time I got on the Black Stallion, but it didn't happen. So the second time was Designing Women opposite Jean Smart. And that was amazing.
But those moments, those moments, I was watching Bunheads. I think
Uh-huh.
it's called Bunheads.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was sitting here the other night. I'd never heard of the show. And suddenly this character, Nancy, comes out of the dressing room, and I screamed at the time, "That's Gina Rogers!" It's like it's like, and the same thing happened with Aaron Moon on Law and Order and Eduardo. I love you're watching a show for like memory that you would have watched when you were young or something.
Mm,
And
mm.
suddenly Daniel Henning is there. I love that because you're
Surprise. Nope.
part of a history.
Yeah, it's I mean it's fun. It's, I've done a lot of things. A lot of things in my life, so I love what I just someone the other day, I was an extra in Working Girl, um, the
Oh
Mike Nichols
my
movie.
God,
But
girl.
what's
Okay.
funny is that at the end, there's a scene where she's kind of alone on the Staten Island ferry, and there's like sort of extras around, but there's this whole scene. It's quiet. She doesn't say a word. She's sitting there, and then she gets up and leaves and comes back, and she does this thing. Well, I'm right behind her. And so there's this whole scene is basically me and Melanie Griffith. Um, and so a friend of mine, sent me a screen grab that they did. It's like, excuse me, this is you. So,
But
yeah,
it's
that's me.
delicious. And I know so many actor friends, and I think it's an LA thing too. It's cool to act jaded or whatever, but it's so boring. It's like we work so hard to get into these little things, and we've all watched them and been fans, and you cross that divide,
Yeah.
and then you have to act like it was no big deal.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal.
Yeah,
Melanie Griffith. It's working. You say
Mike
the
Nichols,
name.
for God's sake. Mike Nichols.
Exactly. I mean, we know what it is. I think it's lovely and it's hugely entertaining.
I've never been somebody who lived in the world of like, oh, I'm gonna downplay that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a series regular on, Law and Order or whatever. Like these are all to me almost like random things that have happened in my life. I mean, I was pursuing them and whatever, I made them happen. And, but in general, it was just like, oh, I was on Designing Women twice. I was the resident 18-year-old on that show to like, like for 2 years. And but I just find that funny. And it was interesting. I got to spend a lot of time with Delta Burke, and I got really close with her actually. And, I was there when the big, huge fight was going on between her and Dixie Carter. And,
Was Delta Burke as much as she is on the screen?
she was amazing to
Does
me.
she
She was
ooze
so
energy?
good.
She seems like she oozes
Absolutely.
energy.
Absolutely. And here's one thing that I remember from our conversation, which is a really interesting thing. She told me that I guess she'd been in Hollywood for 10 years at that point, I think she said. I've been in Hollywood for 10 years and I've had 20 agents. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, because, you get with a new agent and you're hot for 6 months and then they kind of forget about you. So I would go with an agent, be hot with them for 6 months, and then leave them and go with a new agent and be hot with them for 6 months and then leave them. So what a great way to like play the business game.
But it's
Um,
also the relationship with the agent. You don't realize how, because I've had one that I think actually damaged me.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Actual,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I
Yeah.
left it the politest way as possible, and they never acknowledged it or said a word.
Yeah.
I left saying, "Thank you so much for everything. I don't think this is working out, but no, I think you have to, I think that's a brilliant way to do it, is
Yeah, it's
suck
smart
the
to get,
marrow out of the goodness."
the system is there. You just have to figure out how to game it right.
Yeah,
If you're
I
not
think
a
that's
Nepo
brilliant.
baby.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's brilliant.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
I learned that it took me a lot longer than you, because I spent my whole life believing the people that told me that I should try to be normal.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but then I got into burlesque.
Oh, well, there you go.
And
That'll knock it out of you.
those women don't take any
Yeah,
prisoners. And it
exactly.
was like being in theater when I was 10 years old backstage.
Yeah, right.
Nobody's jabbing at each other. They're magic,
Yeah, yeah.
supportive. I just think I think that's the key. Surround yourself by that.
Yeah.
And you've got that energy, which explains why everyone was begging to have you on the show. But it grows, doesn't it? I mean, you're probably naturally generous in your energy, but do you not find that it grows because the more generous you are, the happier a person you are, the more you attract?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a way, like, and I don't know whether this is a function of, you know, life or whatever, but like I had been more generous when I was young. And then kind of as I ran the company more and as it became more of a burden, as it were, like that's part of me kind of got away a little bit, got a little bit
Mm,
away from me. And so I had to kind of consciously bring generosity back,
yeah.
and gratitude back. And now, especially because I love this business so much, it makes me so happy to be a part of this business, and I love almost everybody in this business. There's
Well,
like
this is a
three
perfect
people that I'm like,
segue.
oh,
This is
and
a
that.
perfect segue for you to lead us into how you started audiobooks as well.
All right,
When you finish this
yeah,
thought.
and so what's now happened for me is, and I very much chose to be this way. I decided that I wanted to be this way entirely in this new business. So now, having lived in the world of gratitude and that all of that, it's now second nature for me. I don't have to try anymore for it. It's just, and I say this not to brag, but because of what people have said to me. But like that's one of the main things that people feel about me is that I am gregarious and that I'm very much open to other people and that I'm giving my energy to them. And so and now that's just super easy for me. It's very easy for me to stand with someone and go, "Oh, do you know this person? They're really great at this and that." Blah blah blah. Like that's so simple for me now.
But
And
you
I
know
see that.
that probably translates in your narration because that is, I've grown to believe, the key element. The one thing we have to share is our energy when we get in that booth, and the listener knows if
Yeah,
we're not openly, if we're not bringing good energy in, no matter what we say. And so you making it so natural a part of your life, that probably translates into gold in your actual craft.
I had a narrator, a very veteran narrator, somebody who has had a much bigger, longer career than me, who I know is a friend. And, I've never said, "Oh, have you listened to one of my books?" or anything like that. And I saw him at the Audis, and we were chatting a little bit. And then he said, "Listen, can I ask you a question?" And he said, "Yeah." He's like, "How are you so free in your narration?" I had no idea he'd even heard my narration, right? And he said, I'm just flabbergasted by how you can hear your freedom in the microphone.
Yep.
And
Yes, that's the feeling. It's something that like I just keep going back to that energy.
yeah, and
And that
I
you
don't
can't put it on, can you? You can't go
know.
and technically learn. That's why it drives me crazy. Learn this accent this way, and maybe some people are good at that, but what's inside?
Yeah, yeah, and
That's
I
amazing.
and so I mean I was just like I just almost fell over when he said that to me, because it was such a he I also felt very seen. Like I didn't, no one had ever really asked me that in that kind of way either, right? So I feel free in the booth, but he heard it, which means I
Yeah,
must be free, or
yeah.
free-ish anyway.
Which
Right?
means you shared the essence of you. And
That
he
is what I'm trying to
subconsciously
do.
picked it up,
That
which
is what
is
I'm trying
the
to do.
reason AI will never replace us.
That's exactly right. If we continue to live that way. You know what I mean? Like my answer to the AI question is always, well, like I did a book called In the Lives of Puppets where I played one human and 39 AI or robots, and all of them had hearts. I dare AI to do that in reverse.
Right.
Right? They it just isn't capable. And I don't know that it ever will be capable because at least so what I'm trying to do is be more and more me so that I'm beating the machine because the machine can't be me.
And
you
it
know.
can't, and right there is the reason, because you can't consciously put your finger on what you've shared with that veteran narrator. You have an idea, you know it's the freedom, you know it's the energy, but you can't consciously create it. It's coming naturally, subconsciously from you, subconsciously to them.
Yeah,
Like
for
if
all I have been, every bit of
yes,
me
and
is
AI
absolutely
doesn't
present.
have subconscious.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the part that people don't want to admit, isn't it? The
Yeah.
parts of us that the part of like your mind that can heal something in your body, the those things that drive us crazy because we can't pinpoint it.
Yeah.
The what is it, that energy thing, whereas energy affects water, and I can't remember the experiment. It's one of those things. But like if you send love to water or something, it literally vibrates in a different form.
Oh
That they've
wow.
done experiments. It's
Yeah.
it's all the soft woohoo stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know just like even like just in my life, like when when I'm giving positive energy around me,
Yeah.
I get it back. There's no question about that. No question about it. You know. Um,
Yeah.
and now to
Yeah.
answer your question, how I got
Yes. How now,
into
now let's
audiobooks.
now let's start with the audio. Tell me about your
Okay.
journey. Tell me the moment
So
it started.
so when I was in beginning my transition out of the theater, I wanted to do it right because I had run it, virtually by myself in so many ways. I was the chief fundraiser, I was the chief producer, I was the artistic director, like the whole energy of the place was on me. And so I wanted to make this transition in a way that allowed the company to have some kind of footing after I was gone. I didn't just want to be like, bye, see
But did
ya.
you have a moment where you made the decision to make a transition, or had it been growing over time and you've
Yes,
been thinking about it?
it came out of that sort of midlife crisis or whatever you want to
Okay.
call it. And I realized that that was one of the things that I had completed and yet I was still there. You know what I mean? It's like it was, and so but I took years to set it up. And to leave, I wanted to leave money in the bank. I wanted to leave grants that were set up for a couple of years. I wanted to, all this stuff. So, but I didn't make very much money at all working for the blank, but I did enough to cover my share of the mortgage, right? So I knew I was like, well, I have to figure out something to do to cover my share of the mortgage. And I was working on a play, and this actor said, "Oh, sorry, I was late. I'm doing this Sherlock Holmes audiobook, da, 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 da," and the word audiobook kind of hit my, and I went, okay. And then, and then a year later, and right after that, or right around that time, I guess, something like that. Shortly before that, I had directed and produced the world premiere of a play called Something Truly Monstrous. Um, and it was a play about the well-purported rumor that the night John Barrymore died, Humphrey Bogart and Peter Lorre stole his body and went joyriding and left it in
Oh,
Errol Flynn's ballroom, which happened. I know it actually happened now. Weekend at Bernie's is based on this. But it's like it's been this rumor, and this brilliant playwright wrote this play about it, and I was like, oh my god, it's one of my favorite rumors of Hollywood rumors of all time. I got to do this play, and I loved it. And I did it, and I had a great time working with this playwright. Then a year later, that playwright coming has come out for his workshop of his next new play, and because he's from New York, but he came out in LA, and the word audiobook had appeared in my life in between, and I knew he was in the business somehow. And so I wanted to get advice. So I went down and I saw him and I was like, "Hey, listen, I'd love to get some advice. I know you do something in audiobooks. You direct audiobooks or something." And he said, "I'm the casting director for the largest audiobook company in the world." And it's Jeff Tabnick from Recorded Books.
wow.
And I said, "Oh, well, that's nice. What do you think?" And he said, "Actually, I think you'd be really good at it." And he's like, "Look, I'll give you an audition, and then I'll give you notes, and I'll ask you to do it again." And he's like, "And if I like it, and if I like you, then I'll get you a job." He's like, "It'll be 6 months till the first job. That's just the way this business works. It just is." And I was like, "Okay."
What year was that?
26 late 2016.
Okay.
And then so I did my audition for him and I sent it back to him and he's like, Yeah, I don't have any notes for you, actually. You were great. Oh,
Tick.
great. Thank you. I was like, I'll look for a book for you. A month later, I had my first book.
Wow. What do you remember your first book? What was it?
Uh, six simple, six simple. It was a business book. I did a lot of business books for him right away. Six simple frick. I'm trying to look it up, but it's not happening. Um, uh, yeah, it was about
Tick
it
simple
was
something.
six simple rules for business or something or what have you. And then and he was like, that's great. And I did it at Dion. So I got to go out to Dion Audio and watch engineers work and all that, you know what I mean? So I got to,
Yeah.
and I again am an autodidact. So I was really like, and I bought the book, of course, and I listened to it. What did they do to it? What have they done to my voice? How did they edit? Blah, blah, blah. And actually what's really funny is again, first book, right? So I do my first book and and then it comes out and I'm like, where's the check? I don't know where's my check? I haven't been paid. Where's my money? And so I reach out to Dion and they're like, oh well, the check will be triggered once you do pickups. I'm like, the book is out and I didn't do any pickups. And they're like, click, click, click. Oh, you had no pickups. Oh, so then we therefore didn't trigger a check because they're related to pickup. So, so my first book, I had no pickups. I think that was the last one that I had no pickups on, by the way. Uh,
But
um,
it's good. It's a good start. It's also a good feeling. Start off strong with,
yeah, and I didn't even know really what that meant, right? Until, it was only later that I was like, oh, that's interesting.
until the
And
first time you do get
yeah,
pickups.
so then I saw Jeff in New York and I was like, okay, after about a year of doing that with him. And I think I'd done 6 books at that point, and I did some auditions on ACX. And I'm like, how do I do this for real? And he's like, well, you have to join APA and you should go to APAC and you should meet everybody. And so 2019, I went to my first APAC. Deb Dion was very lovely and had given me a list of the people I needed to know. So I emailed them all. I emailed 40 people before I went. I knew 30 of them were going to be there. And I spent that day meeting those people. I met 28 of those 30 people that I wanted to meet that day.
Wait,
Um,
what did you wear?
2019, it was a blue suit.
Do you know what's funny? You're that guy.
Ah! Uh-oh. You're not the
And
first person to say that to me, but what are you
another
talking about
narrator told
specifically?
me, oh, one guy wore a blue suit, which was really smart marketing because I'll never forget him.
And I had put my picture in that first email, and with this beard, like people like Dan Zitt saw me across the room. I didn't know him from, he's tall as anything, and he saw me across the room and he pointed at me, Daniel, because he recognized me from the beard, right? So,
Yeah.
and I had, again, I'd reached out and there were samples in there and all that. And I got an email back like 15 minutes after I sent those out. And I didn't know that was odd, from Tom Meese, who was at Macmillan at the time. And he said, I just listened to your samples. I think you're terrific. I can't wait to meet you at APAC. So I certainly found
Wow.
him, went up to him like, hi, Tom, I'm Daniel Henning. He's like, I have a book for you in winter 2020.
See, you're doing the thing that I haven't been able to crack. I'm no good at it, and I don't
Well,
know
I
why.
made myself. I play as a game. I learned. I just dove in and just taught myself how to do
But
it.
it's the mix between business and socializing because I can meet people. I mean, granted, I live in the UK, so I don't show up a
Right,
lot when
right,
I
right,
should.
right.
But I can meet people, and I guarantee by the end of the night, they're telling me about their favorite lingerie and the time they were like naked running through the neighborhood because they got drunk. But it never translates into work. Like I
That's
miss
interesting.
something
That's
in the
interesting.
way. In
Well, with Tom, that was like he was already he heard that sample and he was like he knew,
wow.
and he said, I have this book for you in winter 2020, and I was like, okay, great, I'll he's like, I'll
What
email
kind of
you.
book was it? Was
Well,
it
hold on, I'm getting there.
okay?
It's worth it. And so then he sent me the audition, and he said, "Look, I'm going to ask you to do the whole first chapter, not just 5 minutes, because we haven't worked with you before, and I don't know you, but I really do have. I think this is, your book." And I did this audition, and I knew immediately when I read the first sentence, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is my book." Um, and so I sent it back in, whatever, and then I hear. whatever time later, you got that book. Um, and I then sat down to do the book and kept listening to that first chapter over and over again, trying to get the tone back. And I was like, I don't know what I would do any differently. I reached out to him. I was like, this is so weird, but I don't know what I would do any differently. Can we use my audition as the first chapter? And he said, well, you nailed it. So yeah, we should. So the first chapter to The House on the Cerulean Sea is my audition for The House on the Cerulean Sea.
Wow.
And what I didn't know until after I met TJ Klune and then we started doing, you know, talks together and stuff, is that I'm the only audition he sent to TJ. So
Wow.
Tom Meese knew.
See, you've nailed the thing that I am not able to nail. I don't know what I'm doing. I love that for you. I love that for you.
Thank you.
And don't worry, I'm past my bitter stage. 2 years ago, I would have been great. That's lovely.
No, it was like weird. It was just like, what? And
But
then,
I
and
love that. I do love that. And I still think it comes down to your energy. Because I'm
yeah,
sitting here talking to you right now and I like want to bake you a cake.
I like
There's
cake.
something, I agree with the casting directors that immediately wanted to hire you. There is something about you
Oh, thank
that
you.
makes me want to like give you something or help you or do something for you. And I think if you could bottle that, you could make a fortune.
I know, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
And I
so
so
I'll
so I
so
from 2019, that was the beginning of full time. So that was the end of May when it was still in May, and then I was by August. I had bought this whisper room. Like I didn't really have the money yet for it, but I was like, I'm going to invest. And by the beginning of August of 2019, I started working full time. And then of course 2020 came, and I had a booth, and I did 56 books in 2020.
yeah,
Um,
right, Kim? Kim says you're infectious. You are.
oh, thank
You're in
you.
the nicest way possible. So you record full time. What are
Yeah.
your favorite genres?
Oh, I am so lucky in that I have been given so many different things to do in my life. And I guess it makes sense. Like I say, so many weird things have happened in my life that's on the wall here. Like my whole life has always been eclectic. So it is, I count myself lucky, but it also does make some sense that I work in like so many different genres. I'm gonna say something now that I'm not saying to brag. It's just something that kind of proves my point, which is last year for the SOVAs, the Society of Voice Arts Awards. Um, I was nominated in 8 different audiobook genre categories. So
You're my new hero. Okay, so I'm going to figure out what you do, and I'm going to like copy you. So,
but so the genres, like I work in like every genre. So I mean, of course I love LGBTQ work. I have the number 2 and the number 4 best-selling LGBTQ historical fiction right now, which is super great. That makes me, because I'm a historian too, so that makes me really happy to have those things all mesh into one. But I also love Harvard Business Review books, and I love nonfiction. I probably do more nonfiction than fiction. At one point, it was 2/3 nonfiction. It's probably a little more even now.
but
Um,
do you know what you've done? You have deemed yourself leading man.
oh,
But you have decided I'm important because we all should be the most important people in our own lives. We all
yeah,
should be. Um, and then we can give from there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
no,
right.
most people don't do it. We spend the whole time being self-deprecating or being, I'm not so important, or I'll be important when my life is this.
Yeah,
You have decided me and my life are important and they matter. My small part in this play was a big deal. You out loud say, what I do is a big deal. And it is endearing and a relief. And because it's so boring listening to other people tell us that, oh, I didn't really do much. We
yeah,
all do it and it's not attractive.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But
S-
you are contagious. We want to be around you. We want to join in the joy you find in your accomplishments. So when you say, "Oh, this sounds like I'm bragging," but it's not, because you're proud. And we all should be proud, I
I mean,
think.
like life is so hard for all of
Yeah.
us. You know what I mean? Like, so, but there's no point in kind of living in the fact that it's hard, right? So, but I have to say what you just said, you have to blame my mother. I don't remember this story, and you'll know why when I tell you, but she does, and she's told me this. Not a lot. It's not like one of those things that like, I've heard all the time, but when I was born, she had a modeling school and agency for decades. Before that, she was teaching at a modeling school. And but when I was born, she was coming home from the hospital. They stopped at her work, and they brought me into the studio, and she held me up to a huge wall mirror, and she said, "You are the most important person in the world. You are the most special person in the world." So what you just said actually was like the first thing I was told in my life. So it's kind of shocking to me that you would say that, in fact. Um,
Because it's true, and it's true for the rest of us.
exactly
And
right. That's
we
exactly
don't
right.
acknowledge it. And
Exactly.
do you know, I had a creative coach from, I can't remember. Oh, I'm part of like the Actors Network in the UK.
Okay.
And for some reason, I keep wanting to call it Spotify or SoundCloud. I don't know why. I can't, the name escapes me, but I got a creative coach through there. And I was telling her that I used to be so joyful. I didn't understand why, like when I was in school, I had this thing where I would smile at the first like seven or so people I saw every single day, and they would smile back. And that was like, I was so powerful. And I used to like literally walk down the halls and see people part for me. Like I felt like I could just do anything. The world was magical and I was the one controlling it. I would play games to control the magic and the,
Mm,
what can and everybody. There was the guy that I knew was shy. Oh my God, you've got the most beautiful eyes. Like everyone was and then I tried to grow up.
mm,
And I told this lady, I said, 80% of me, 85% of me is this worrying adult
mm,
that it's the questions all the narrators ask whenever somebody says, ask your questions about the industry. How do I get a publisher to pay attention to me? They're concentrating because they're on the outside trying to look in. How do I get taken seriously? How do I get validation? And rather than you're on the inside looking out of your own eyes, which is what I was. And the coach said, if you're doing that, I think it was like 85% of the time, or actually, if I'm honest, 90%, she goes, where's the joyful part of you? And I go, that's the part of me that just forgets and goes off and does fun things. And I'd like, she goes, try to do that, be that person for 11%. Try
mm,
it for one more minute. Try it for living in that space of that person that's living in the space that you're living in, that your mother taught you to live in when you were a kid, right? If we could just live in that joyful. So now I send an audition, I go in a booth, and I'm not letting the itty bitty shitty committee in my head tell me, Jesus, you're supposed to do 3 finished hours today and you've only done two and you're never going to catch up. And instead, I hit the close and I say it out loud, that was magical.
yeah, I love it.
I'm magical. Look what I've done. And it feels magical. And I wish you could just go. I wish you could do a TED talk. I wish you could tell everyone. I wish you could teach people what your mother taught you the day you were born.
Mm, yeah.
We need it. We
Yeah,
all
for
need
sure.
it.
For
And
sure.
once you unlearn it, it's really difficult.
Yeah, and I think that's like sort of my midlife crisis or whatever, right? That's what I'd lost that. And
Yeah.
and this sort of looking at my life and rearranging things in the way that I now wanted them to be, not the way I wanted them to be 25 years ago, because that was almost a different person making those choices. now that I'm here, who do I want to be from here? Because, I mean, all there really is now anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
there is no future, there is no past. It's just
There's
now.
just that magical energy
That's
bubbling
it.
up and,
And
and
that's
look
what
what
I
I've just done.
and that's what I hope I bring into this box with me every day is
Yeah.
now. I'm in the middle of this giant project, which is I've just been chosen by the foundation to be the narrator for Andy Warhol.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm doing a book. Oh my God. I've got to tell you, I can't say it on here because it's bubbling up,
Yeah.
but somebody that worked at the factory with Andy, and I'm
Oh, great,
fascinated. I'm just like,
great. Well,
that's my favorite time in history.
whatever you want to know, I know all about it now because I've done. They're actually all announced, but I've already recorded the philosophy of Andy Warhol from A to B and back again. So these are his books that I'm doing, right? And then
Wow.
and then I'm in the middle of Popism, the Warhol '60s, which is his diary of the '60s. And then the third one I'm doing is a novel, which is his tape recordings. It's a novel, but it's just transcription of tape recordings of Ondine, and all the speed freaks at the factory just talking for 24 hours. So that's next. Oh, I'm
I was
scared of that.
obsessed with that one. I want to do the Edie Sedgwick book. I was thinking
Oh
of
yeah.
reaching out to them, and I just like, but I've never had time and never done it. But
But one of the things that about Andy is, and he created this like persona of like, I'm an idiot, I don't think anything, I get my ideas from everybody else, and what do you feel about that? Nothing. I want to be a machine. If you want to know about me, just look at the surface of my paintings because it's all there, right? And people were like, oh, well, he's an idiot, or he's created this idiot persona, blah blah blah. But what I hear in all of that is Zen nothingness. He is actually discussing deep philosophy, and but put it in this pop world where people kind of thought he was joking. He
he
wasn't
turned them on
joking.
their heads, and that's
That
why.
was
And
serious.
he accomplished the opposite, didn't he? He
Yeah,
accomplished all the eyes on him, all the material goods. He accomplished the opposite
yeah, yeah.
by giving people what they didn't think they wanted.
Yeah. So he was really, so he was, oh, I don't have any ideas. I get them from other people. Well, that's like the most Zen nothing thing you could ever say. I'm
Yeah,
here, I'm present, and the world is happening around me, and that's where my ideas come from. Well,
yeah.
that's remarkable to live in a space like that. And in fact, that's the only way I can narrate. I can't decide beforehand, well, this scene's I'm gonna be crying here, I'm gonna laugh here. Like that's just not it's not possible. I didn't do that in the theater even. Like if you saw something I directed, there were that you could see it the next night, it would look entirely different, except that the emotional journey was always there, the same one, right?
It
So
was the power, it's the power of the idea. Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. The power of the idea itself is a thing that exists on its own, and whoever happens to catch it. So each night you're catching that spark, right? And you're
yeah,
making something
and
different.
also I just, and because, we all have had the lives that we've had, right? We all have unique souls.
Yeah,
So, if you just let your soul be and be present, to be a human being, not a human doing, then,
yeah,
then to me, anything that comes up in an audiobook that, a moment that is being asked to narrate, it shows up for me because I've created a world where every single thing I've ever done from in every day of my life up till now is present for me. And if that connects with this sentence here, then that's what connects with that sentence there. And I don't have to pre-think any of it. I just have to get out of my own way and let
yeah.
myself just be present,
And
in
then that
yeah,
is perfect practice. Every time we're in the booth, then we take that, we become better people,
yeah,
bigger, bigger
yeah,
souls.
yeah, absolutely, without a doubt, you know.
Oh, I love that. Oh, what a lovely, lovely call. Okay, Daniel,
Yes.
for the studio audience that's going to be
Yes.
watching this in the next 150 years, if they take nothing away from this conversation at all, but one thing, what would you want them to go away with?
Be yourself because there is nothing else. And you are perfect exactly as you are.
That sums it up, doesn't it? But still, even if you take one thing away for that, you got to listen to the rest of the conversation because this guy drops gold nuggets everywhere. Kim says, this has been amazing. Thanks so much for the conversation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. What a lovely, lovely. I would give, if I was casting, I'd give you a book like in a second. So yeah, bottle it. I'll be the first one to buy it. Thank you,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Thank you. And
It'll be
thank you to
available
this.
on my website.
Yes, yeah. Some lovely sparkling packaging. We could sell the hell out of
Exactly.
that. Thank you, Daniel, and thank you
Thank you.
mwah, to the
Thank
studio
you.
audience.
Thank you
See
for
you
having
again
me be
soon.
here. It's been a true pleasure. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you.
I'm a better person having met you, Daniel.
And I as well.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.